to another episode of The Natty Teacher. I'm your host, of course. Who else but The Natty Teacher? Today's episode and today's lesson is very simple. We have our Pull B session. Our Pull B session is more of a back thickness session. I don't really like to always classify things as back width and back thickness, but today's session is primarily rowing type movements, 2 rowing movements and a pull down movement for our direct back work. Then we have rear delts, and then we have some bicep work. So today's back portion, again, is more for the innards of the back, I like to call them. So if you're unfamiliar with the anatomy of the back musculature, we're talking about things like the traps. We're talking about things like the rhomboids, and even outwards as far as the rear delts, and just different muscle groups within the the upper back as well. Okay, again, kind of the thickness. Okay, when we train our Pull A session for the lats, we're really trying to make sure that we're adding not only, of course, density onto that muscle group, but really trying to make, and again, remember, it's all just a illusion to an extent, but we're trying to make the back look as thick and wide as possible. And this this particular workout, we're really trying to focus on all the details in the back. Of course, adding more thickness, but really focus on the little innards. We want it to look like somebody not only took this massive turtle shell back, and slabbed it onto us, but we want it to look like somebody took an X-Acto knife and cut out individual muscles on the back as well. That's awesome. It's an awesome thing to see when you have somebody who has not only a wide back, but a very detailed back as well. Okay, I mean, hey, they say shows are won from the back, and the back muscles play a huge role in that. But anyways, first exercise on the docket, which you guys will see a top set of, is a chest supported machine row. When done correctly, it is one of my favorite back detail thickness type exercises. Again, I believe I've said this before, but if I have not, I'm a firm believer in this. Any sort of back exercise you can do, especially rowing type exercises, where you have a chest support, so you are driving your chest into a pad while you're pulling, weight. 10 out of 10 times I would recommend that, guys. 10 out of 10 times. Okay? Anything that you can do where you are essentially going the opposite way of where you're pulling is phenomenal. Like, so you'll see this row, what I'm trying to do here, and I'll talk about this in my voiceover maybe a little more in detail, is the basic cue is I am literally trying to push my chest into this pad while pulling the weight back. It's going to require you to probably reduce the load a little bit, because you're not just pulling back like this where you can just pull a ton of weight, okay? But as far as the actual mind-muscle connection and the detail you can bring out in your back when doing an exercise correctly and driving your chest into a pad and pulling weight back at the same time and squeezing, oh man, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal, okay? Anyway, so top set of probably just outside shoulder width grip, chest supported machine row coming at you right about now. All right, well, as promised, chest supported row. Now, what you'll see here, there were a few things I really liked about this. There were a few things I didn't. What I noticed, if you watch my wrist did not stay straight the whole time. I actually adjusted my hands a little bit and did a full grip. Usually I do it's called the suicide grip, where you pop your thumb up over. So I did a full grip on this one for my last set. This is my first working set here, so my top set. Felt really good, man. Strength felt good. Added 5 pounds from last week and did even more reps throughout my working sets. So I did three working sets, all within that 10 to 15 rep range. What you'll see here is, though, even though I'm leaning back with the weight ever so slightly, if you watch my chest and my sternum and midsection, what have you, it does not leave the pad the entire time. Okay, that is a huge cue. Drive those elbows back. Make sure you flare them ever so slightly. We don't have to flare them way out here, but flare them out ever so slightly and pull back through the back. Squeeze those muscles in the back, those traps and rhomboids and all that kind of fun jazz. Get those things squeezing and rocking and rolling. Again, 3 total working sets, keeping the reps in that medium to high range. Again, 10 to 15 reps or so. No drop sets, no supersets, nothing like that with this particular exercise, and really even in my basic programming right now, not a ton. So yeah, 3 working sets here, really emphasizing that stretch, getting a nice brief hold at the back, pun intended, good working back, and go from there. Our second exercise, an old school one here, T-bar row. Now those are 25-pound plates. Don't let them fool you. Those aren't the smallest 45-pound plates you've ever seen. But what you'll actually see here, if you look at my back, is I have a slight arch in the lower back, and I'm actually leaning over the weight. I see too many guys load up 4, 5, 6 45-pound plates and just yank and crank and all this kind of stuff. I don't understand why. What I'm picturing, it might sound a little graphic, I'm sorry. We'll keep it as family friendly as possible. But I am grabbing the handles here and pulling the weight to my groin. Okay, 3 working sets here. You're trying to drive those handles through the actual groin area. Again, 3 working sets at this weight, really focusing on getting a nice squeeze in the back. Again, in that 8 to 15, I think it was actually, no, more like 10 to 15 rep range or so at least. Then some rear delt flies, adjusted the seat angle just a little bit and lowered it just slightly from the last time I was doing it, just to see if I could connect with the rear delts better. And sure enough, felt a lot less traps and felt a lot more rear delts, and I stayed more upright as well instead of leaning forward. Utilized a lot more rear delt, not a ton of weight, but kept the reps pretty high here. Again, I believe in that 10 to 20 rep range. And went from there. So there was 3 total working sets of rear delts here. We did 3 working sets of rear delts in our pull session earlier on in the week as well, making sure we're getting at least that 6 working sets of direct rear delt work per week. Sometimes even I'll do another set or so of another exercise and get that 7th or 8th set. So anyways, Smith machine shrugs, we made quite the jump here. Last week I think I topped out at 245. Or well, two plates and a 10 on each side. This time we did 2 plates and a 25-pound plate on each one, so 2 plates and a quarter on there. So we did that. 2 working sets at this weight. Again, with this exercise, nice brief hold at the top. So get that squeeze. You can see I pause at the top of the movement here. We don't got to over-exaggerate that squeeze at the top. We're not trying to do a 10-second hold or, drive the traps all the way to the ears and hold until, you get blue in the face and pass out. We're not trying to do that. But 2 working sets within that 10 to 15 rep range, keeping the reps pretty moderate and really holding at the top, at least for a brief little 1, 2 type count, and then release that tension and control the weight on the way down. So again, 2 working sets here, 10 to 15 reps, felt great. And then we got to move on to, of course, everybody's favorite. The real reason you tune in here, biceps. Machine preacher curls, one of my favorite. This was actually my 2nd working set here. Again, we're trying to keep this exercise within that 8 to 15 rep range as well. That's kind of my sweet spot. Sometimes I'll go a little higher depending on the exercise, of course. But yeah, that 8 to 15, maybe even 6 to 15 rep range, depending on the exercise, seems to work wonders for me. Okay, so again, really focusing on the stretch here. You'll see that I control the weight on the way down, sit in that fully lengthened position, and then contract the weight up, curl the weight up, and sit in that fully shortened position, okay, where the bicep is as small as possible. Okay, that is what's going to actually help push a ton of blood into the biceps, get awesome pumps. Again, any of these exercises where I can fully lengthen those biceps, it's great. You don't got to overload the weight, take the ego out, but progressively overload. This was still 5 pounds heavier than I did last week, and did just as many reps as I would have wanted to with these 3 sets, kept them in the rep ranges I wanted. So then we'll go up another 2.5 to 5 pounds next week as well when we do this again. Just keep moving forward. Then another jump here. This was 5 pounds from last week. Felt good. We have some 1-arm high cable curls. Well, I call them high cable curls because we have the pulley adjusted only 2 notches below the very top of the cable tower. Okay. So again, what we're doing here is what you'll see. I sit in that fully lengthened position. So right there, I sit there for a brief moment and then curl the weight back. Okay, again, anything and everything we can do to lengthen those biceps is going to be to the benefit of overall growth. These little half rep, 90-degree pump reps, 21s, whatever, you're going to get a sick pump, which when you're pumping blood, obviously you are moving blood into that muscle, which means you're going to get some sort of stimulus and some sort of growth, sure. But nobody's ever going to convince me that a full range of motion is not far superior to half reps and quarter reps or whatever. If you're, pushing past failure and you only got a couple half reps, little, pump reps left over, sure, I could see that just as a little bit of an intensity piece. But at that point, you might as well just drop the weight and, go from there. So this time I did include both arms here. So what you'll see here, this is just a little cue for you, is I like to actually grab kind of around the side of my body with my other hand, whatever hand I'm not using to curl weight, okay? Just as kind of a stabilization piece here. Again, when I am allowing that weight to retract, I'm really sitting in that fully lengthened position. So like right there, make adjustments as needed. And then I like to pretend like I'm curling my fist back to my ear. That's a good little cue for you. Or maybe like the top of my head. Because what you'll notice is where my hand is placed, if I was to curl back to like the top of my head or my ear, that would actually be level with where my bicep is at, okay? So again, we're not doing any kind of BS partial ranges of motion. We're getting a full stretch. We're getting a full contraction. We're getting sick pumps, and we're getting sick growth, man. The off season is off seasoning at this point. Again, not trying to get too heavy too fast, but doing what we got to do. 3 working sets here. Pull B session in the books. Workout was a 10 out of 10, man. It's great. awesome pumps, awesome stretches and contractions and all of that kind of fun jazz. It's just great stuff, man. This is awesome. Awesome. Back feels pumped up. Rear delts were feeling good. Felt like I was actually able to take out my traps, kind of played with the seat and how I was doing my rear delt flies today. So definitely going to stick with that for a while and run that. It felt good. Biceps were getting a nice pump. It's just great stuff, man. Great stuff. Later on today, I still do have a half hour of cardio. Do your cardio. Do it. You won't, but you should. Still have a half hour of cardio, a little bit of direct calf work, and also a little bit of forearm work as well, a little bit of forearms. So we'll throw that training in later. I may even come back to the gym. I don't know. Usually I have to do that stuff at home, but I may come back to the gym. Or wait, no, I won't. Never mind. No. I'll be doing it at home. Never mind. Anyhoozle. Yeah, man. So join me tomorrow for my leg B workout. Leg B is hamstring and glutes, a little bit inner thigh, just through some adductor work to get my workout started, kind of open up the hips, get everything rocking and rolling. And those hip flexors too. And some calves. Right now I'm training calves literally every day but Saturday. Sunday through Friday, through a mixture of very high rep cluster sets and then also actual like individual working sets through, weighted exercises. So I'm doing a mixture of like body weight stuff where it's kind of more pulse reps and just pumping the crap out of the calves. Body weight stuff that's like stretching the calves, a lot of weighted stuff that's really focused on the stretched portion of the calves. I already am seeing progress. I really, really want to have like just massive calves. That I don't know, this is a goal of mine. I don't know. This off season and just in training in general, I just really want to have massive calves. I think massive calves are so cool, and I've never had good calves, so I really want to have some massive calves. I'm training them 6 days a week. Love it, and they're recovering, so I'm gonna keep pushing them for sure. So join me tomorrow for my leg B workouts. Again, great pull B workout today. Felt awesome. I appreciate everybody who's following along. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you are not already. I know that a lot of my viewers are not subscribed, and that's okay. That's okay. I want to see you again. I want you to come back. If you don't want to, more power to you. More power to you. God bless you. But for today, I am the Natty Teacher, and this episode of Summer School is out. I'll catch y'all on the flippity flop. Wow, it's bad.